Hello, good morning, viewers. It's a beautiful Friday morning and another fresh episode of Ways Breakfast. Hashtag What Are You Saying? Of course, I'm your anchor for today. My name is Oluchi Omenka, and I'm full of so much excitement because it's Friday. All right, I'm here with my squad, the full ladies on the house on a Friday. I think that's the first this month.
I said that again.
Yes.
How are we doing today? The general question I always ask. How are you? How are you?
Fine.
Let someone else
She's telling me in a hurry. I'm fine. It's more like, please, this table, pass up.
Let me start with God's beauty. How are you doing today,
I'm
God's beauty?
good. Honestly, I'm okay.
Honestly,
literally.
No way.
actually, if you're not saying actually,
This is bad.
actually,
No, but
you're
I'm good,
okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
That's
I'm
good to
good.
hear. How about you, Shala?
I think I'm also grateful for the gift of men or gift of man rather, because I feel like I'm going through a phase that I had a conversation with someone yesterday and I felt a lot better this morning.
I feel like giving you a hug.
Thank
We're
you
so
very
far
much.
apart. How about you, Kiki?
Thank you
Coming
very
back to you now.
I'm fine.
You are fine. We want to hear gist. How are you fine? What's making you fine? What's been going
The
on?
sky is blue.
Guess what, guys?
What's happening?
Today is Oyindamola's birthday, and we're giving her a shout out.
yeah.
Our associate producer is a year older today, Oyindamola Emmanuel.
I see how good
She
she
is, I mean, looking so gorgeous. Happy birthday, darling. We wish you the best of life.
Right.
And we cannot we cannot wait to eat all the cakes and small chops available today, courtesy of God's beauty.
Hey.
They're wearing the same color, matching colors.
I mean.
All
Happy birthday,
right.
Oyindamola. Thank you very much for making production very easy.
Very easy. Yes, very welcoming.
easy.
Sweetest voice ever. She speaks so calmly,
Can say
so
that again.
reassuring. Like, hi, Oluchi.
Oh, wow.
All right. So enough of the shout out and all of that. Today is Friday, and Friday is all about tech. Today is almost like a tech expo show, honestly. So you do not want to miss it. Stay with us, and when we return, we'll look through headlines across the globe. Be right back. Welcome back, people. It's still Ways Breakfast. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV and follow us on all socials to be updated on what we have for you. So right about now, we're going straight to the Nigerian newspapers, and I'm starting with The Punch. The major headline reads, Federal government rolls out 1 trillion naira palliative massive construction project. 3.7 million families to get 540 billion naira grant. 155 billion naira for assorted food and others. Federal government to begin massive road, rail construction, CNG buses distribution in states, FCT. Above the major headlines, we see NNPC to boost economy with 4 billion naira gas project. And cholera, government eyes vaccine donation as cases hit 1,579. Blackmail can't stop new presidential jet approvals, says Senate. 2023 budget, federal government okays December extension to forestall abandoned project. And below the major headlines, we see federal government raises fresh 284 billion naira as T-bills debt hits 10 trillion naira. And probe begins as ex-Konga CEO allegedly jumps to death in Lagos apartment. States should negotiate minimum wage, Southern governors. And that's what we have for the Punch newspaper. Interestingly, we see here that the federal government rolls out 1 trillion naira palliative massive construction projects. Every time I hear palliative, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now?
My head, I'm like, again?
What is going to happen now? But this one seems very promising. I mean, that was what I saw first. You know, when you see some huge figures, you're thinking, really, what's going on here? So I read the full details. It says Tinubu gave the directive at the 142nd National Economic Council meeting, attended by state governors and some deputies at the State House, Abuja. He announced a national construction and household support program, which will see 100,000 families in each state getting 50,000 naira grants for 3 months, and 155 billion naira to be disbursed for assorted foods, 550 billion for household grant, even as 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory will get 10 billion naira allocations each for CNG buses. My question is, why is it only 100,000 families in these states that will be getting 50,000 grants for 3 months?
All the palliatives being rolled out in the past, because when this entire thing happened, when the inflation started to hit hard, there was distribution of 30,000 naira as seen on X that, okay, some people received it. And I'm not sure I can point out.
I think there was a time there was 8,000 naira owned that was quite ridiculous.
8 or 7,000 naira.
Yes.
There was. So I feel like, honestly, roll out the palliative as long as it gets to the masses, right? Some of us can still take care of ourselves. Some of us actually want the grant, right? But roll it out. Don't roll it out and then it's as good as, I will still use this video I remember I saw the other time. A bread to be shared among a group of people. Okay, let's say 4 of us, a bread. So you're giving God's Beauty the bread to share among all of us. So God's Beauty took like half of the bread. So she's giving me half of the bread. I'm taking like my own half. I'm not caring about others. I'm taking like what I know will be enough for me. So before I even get to Oluchi, the bread is remaining like a little bit. So I hope the same thing is not going to happen.
So
with
we're hoping that there's proper structure.
I think my own issue will be embezzlement. That's what always happens to monies being rolled out like this. People on the top actually embezzle this money. And if they ever decide to send it down to the masses, maybe a few people, which also have to still be selected. Yes, have to be selected, will still have to find their way to get the money. Every other person,
you pay 30% return or something. Really? Have you people like written name and account number before for grants?
I've done a lot for scholarships,
agricultural grants, and not even one.
Been interested.
Anyways, this is a promising initiative. We hope that it works.
Yes, well, taking you through the nation, the headline reads, Federal Ministry of Works, Renewed Hope Legacy Road Infrastructure Project. And we have loads of infrastructure projects being explained here. Above that, we have Tinubu rallies governors on massive food production. President backs urgent result-oriented agri plan. And the next story reads, federal government slashes sea engine conversion cost by half. Surveillance operatives uncover oil theft camps. I think this food, just like you said, this food production thing, I think agriculture is a very big issue, you know, in Nigeria. From production, from planting to production, to getting it across to transportation. And I think that's why we had the issue of pepper and tomato, and some weeks ago, even watermelon disappeared all of a sudden. And then we were struggling to find out how this happened. Then they started explaining pests, and it was pesticide, it was insecurity, it was so many issues like that. So I feel like agriculture in general, the president needs to look at agriculture in general and sort of provide security around it, because that's how basically all the nations survive. So that's how I see this whole agricultural plan, result-oriented, as the president has already explained it, is as urgent as it is.
I think for the agricultural thing, it's biting me so hard because I think I'm in love of food. And I miss those days where I have to buy egg of like 300-400 naira, but now I'm buying egg for like 300.
200 naira.
But then let's roll to the Vanguard newspaper. From the pages of the Vanguard newspaper, the major headline here says, "Let each state negotiate what it can pay," says governors. And at the top corner, investors mobilizes $50 million to boost CNG adoption, says federal government. And from the Rivers State crisis, pro-Wike group fought for Barra's claim on bombing of Rivers Hotel. Just beside it, police probe deaths of ex-Conga boss Nick Imudia. And right at the corner, oil theft surveillance operatives uncover oil bunkering camps at Bayelsa State. There are other headlines, but I will go straight into the headline that caught my attention the most, which is that of the suicide of the ex-Conga boss. So the Lagos State Police Command said it has begun investigation into the death of the former chief executive officer of Conga, one of Nigeria's e-commerce giants, Mr. Nick Imudia. I won't go into much details because I assume we've all seen it on social media space. What I would say is, to be honest, suicide is not an option. I'll be reading out a quote I saw yesterday from AI Green. The quote says, "Suicide may seem like the only way out, but in the end, it's not just you are hurting, but those who love and care about you." Now, back to this Mr. Nick's case. He called his brother in the US and gave him instruction on how to share his will. Then he also called his daughter and told him, okay, anytime you need daddy, just look up to the sky and daddy will come to you, right? You can imagine.
It was so planned.
Oh, God. To be honest, suicide should never, ever be an option. Yes, it can be overwhelming. Yes, you want to break. And that's why I was grateful for the gift of man, of men. So you can have more than one person that you talk to. Try to open up. Yes, I know you don't want to say some things. Yes, you'll feel like, but please, if you want to cry it out, like Owa we say, cry it out. If you want a big hug, get someone to hug you and open up and say something. That'll be my 2 cents.
So yeah, in agreement to you, let's quickly fly to New York Times newspaper.
All right.
Right side of the newspaper, we have Biden is seeing extent of pass at 12 cell. All right, new era politics don't reward a deal maker. Next to that, justice permits Biden's lobbying of social media. First Amendment case, Grand Old Party, that's the GOP, upset by removal of posts cited in being misinformation. All right, by the left side of the newspaper, as AI, that's artificial intelligence string, pay attention to fine print. Next to that, a progressive loan signals a shift to the center. Politicians on the left play defense after Bowman's defeat. Bottom of the newspaper, we have Elite's private schools divided by war in Gaza, balancing friction and future customers. Next to that is the last headline on the newspaper, and it states, Delhi protest in Kenya drive president to counter tax increases. All right, so the headline that particularly intrigues me is the headline that says, Delhi protest in Kenya drive president to counter tax increases. So before now, since from June 18, there's this back and forth of tax law. Okay, so this is it here. The president of Kenya, that's William Ruto, he came out with a tax law, tax increasement, because he believes that with the increasement of that tax, it's going to make the economy and the country more stable, right? They'll be financially okay and all of those. But the masses are in refusal of that. They feel like, no, this is not going to help us in any way. Instead, it is going to bring us down from where we already are. So they did a protest, and guess what? Their president listened to them.
If there's one thing,
their president, and do you know the interesting part? That's the problem. Literally, because 13 deaths, 300 injured.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? But at the end point, so this is there are two sides. I'm going to take this. The first one is after all of these things, right? At the end of the day, they were listening to, right? Yeah. But at the same time, sweetheart, allow me to count. No, the thing is, I've always said, I feel like protest is not like the best way of reaching out to our government or the president, right? I feel like there should be better ways to do that.
I was going to quote
there
someone that said
There should be better ways to do that.
I was going to quote someone that said, protest never work.
The truth, it never
but
does.
This one actually did
but
work.
this one, to what, exactly what she's saying, to what end? After the death of these people.
If the president decides that in the next month he's bringing that tax
back,
increment back again.
I mean,
that's another protest, another and
let's not protest on the table. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll dive right into the hot topic for today. We have a guest who will be joining us, and like I said earlier, it's a tech expo. You're going to learn, you'll be educated, you'll be informed, and make better decisions. Not forget to follow us on all our socials. You can be part of this conversation. You can drop a comment. You can also place a call, and we're here for you. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, so it's another exciting episode on Ways Exclusive, and I am really excited to be here having this conversation. I believe I should be the first person he will be talking to after the launch of his book, Nigeria and Its Criminal Justice System. Why did you decide to go to your constituency with this book?
This book is 11 years in the making. It's been a very painful book to write.
Do you have anything personal, any personal problem with Afe Babalola?
It's not personal, and this is very important for me. It is not personal, and it is the fact that it is not personal that has made it important. That I thank God that Chief Afe Babalola is alive and well. I thank God that there is nobody I have mentioned that is dead. Each and every one of the persons who happen to be just types. Because if it wasn't Afe, if it wasn't any one of the other persons, it would have been someone else, because it is the system that has allowed this to happen. The problem with us is that we have been lying to ourselves as a collective for so long that it is actually the person who forces us to confront the truth of our lies that we begin to attack.
At the time of this event, I think it was Babatunde Raji Fashola.
Yeah, he was the governor.
That was the governor of Lagos State. And, for your own, you expressed your disappointment.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was a legal practitioner, he is a senior advocate of Nigeria, and you would have thought that, that should have been enough for him to kind of like act, at least even respond to whatever it is the situation was.
Put it this way. BRF was the governor. I had no expectation of him being present in every situation, and I didn't expect him to be the one to deal with the problem. But I expected him to take an interest in what was going on.
All right, viewers, welcome back to Ways Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? So it's about time for the hot topic for today. It's a tech show, like I have been saying. And today's topic is how AI and new tech are shaping product design today. So Techies and tech bros, this is for you. We have a guest who will be joining us. His name is Mr. Dotun Olalude. Mr. Dotun Olalude is a skilled product designer with a focus on creating innovative and user-friendly products. With a background in industrial designs, he excels at bringing concepts to life through meticulous attention to detail and functionality. He has various live products ranging from different niches such as finance, e-commerce, office suites, and just to mention a few. Dotun's collaborative approach and dedication to understanding user needs makes him a valuable asset in product development. He's committed to delivering exceptional user experiences and continuously pushes the boundaries of design. Good morning, Mr. Dotun Olalude.
Good morning, Holchi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good
Thank you very
Nice
to
to
much
be
for
here.
joining us.
thank you very much for joining us. Say hello to the ladies.
Hi, Doctor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dotton.
Good morning, Okikiola. Good morning, Shola.
Thank you very
Good morning,
much.
Girls Beauty.
Wow,
Thank
they already
you.
learned
Wow,
our
you
name very
already
quickly.
learned our
Thank you very much. Means a lot to us. All right, Mr. Dotto, we
Wow,
have
yeah.
quite a lot of questions to ask today, and we really want you to be in your teaching zone. Want you to wear your teaching hat, and want you to explain in details, to tech enthusiasts, to people who are tech experts, to people who are wondering if they should get into this, line of work. We want you to really provide that kind of clarity to them. So my first question to you is I'd love for our audience to get to know you a bit better. Could you share a little about your background and what drew you to the field of product design? Why are you doing what you're doing today in the tech space?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Holchi. So I mean, I'll just talk about my tech journey generally.
Okay.
I didn't start off as a product designer. I started off as a graphic designer. Graphic designer in the sense of designing flyers, designing um, books, and all of those. So then I met a friend around 2020 thereabouts, and he, I saw what he was doing on the system, and it looks like, wow, this thing looks good, and it looks different from what I was doing. So I proceeded into learning what product designing actually entails. I had been a graphic designer for about, I think I started designing 2018. Yeah, I started designing 2018. So it was more of a shift into product designing. So it was quite easy because I was already used to designing. So it was just more of learning the new basics, which included, oh wow, thank you for that, which included what interaction design means, what wireframe means, how to make research, how to create information architecture and user flows. So yeah, that was how the journey went. And ever since then, it's been smooth and wholesome.
Very amazing.
That's beautiful to know. But I think that there's a lot of us who have tried maybe from coding to trying product designing and tech. It now looks like we're onto gibberish. We don't know what we're doing.
Right.
And then they have created so many apps where they now said learn this without coding. But I would like to know what these challenges have been for you. I know you said it has been easy, but I know that there's been one issue here or there that must have, come up in your journey of product design, especially when you now start finding a job while, you feel like you have learned that thing and then now you can get a job at it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So the first thing I would say is, yeah, it's diving into tech can be challenging. That's the truth. But you have to understand one thing. There are a lot of niches when it comes to tech. We have the design niche, we have the content writing, we have the coding aspect, which everybody usually talks about. I tried coding, trust me. I tried coding, but it wasn't for me. That was when I went for the design. So I think what you should do is just try to pick what works for you. Don't follow what everybody is doing because it's not always like that. Trust me, there's really nothing like easy tech in a way. You have to give yourself into it. Personally, there was a challenge I had getting a design job, a product design job role. Uh, I was already a graphic designer. I had so many uh, jobs in my portfolio to showcase. But when it came to getting a job around product designing, it took time. It took a while. I wouldn't lie. I had so many interviews that I was almost suited for the role, but it didn't come true. So what I would say is this. What I would say is this. Um, the first thing is learn the basics of whatever thing you are learning. I mean, Every other thing just builds on the basics. Every other thing just builds on the basics. What I tell people that I talk to is, if you know the basics, every other thing is just vibes. Sincerely, if you are sure of the basics, every other thing is just vibes. So, whatever niche you're picking, either designing, either coding, either content writing, and every other ones, just be sure of your basics. Because even during interviews, after going through your portfolio and all of those things, the question they would ask you would be from the basics. So learning the basics actually is very, very important. I've heard HRs say after getting people's CVs, then they interview them and they hear them say nonsense. It's just because people lie. Trust me, people lie on their CVs. So,
Ability to
but when
work
you're
under
sure of the
pressure.
basics, I mean, but when you're sure of your basics, trust me, you can fly anywhere.
Thank you, Dotson. First, I'd like to say you look the part because we see tech bros wear glasses, look, nice nails, finger rings, you look the part. So I want to ask, you said
Thank
you
you.
started as a graphics designer before you graduated or moved further into UI UX design. So I like to ask you, who is a graphics designer and what is UI UX design? Because they are both designs. But yes, I asked a tech bro and the person said UI UX is just all those fonting we see in. But who is a graphics designer? Who is a UI UX designer, right? And what's the difference between the two graphics? They are both flyers, right? Or one is flyer, the other one is not flyer. Like, shed more light on that for us.
Thank you, Shola.
Yes,
Am I
please.
right?
Yes, you're correct.
All right. So, the first thing I would say is, a graphic designer is different from a product designer, right? A graphic designer does designs. A product designer also does designs. The difference now comes in what they design. So, a graphic designer does generic designs that we see, in the sense that they make flyers, they make banners, they make all these visual information designs. Let me put it that way: visual information designs. But when it comes to the aspect of
Yes.
a product designer or a UI UX designer, what a UI UX designer does is they design digital products.
Okay.
Digital products in the sense of mobile apps, websites, mobile apps, websites, service as a software applications. So that's the difference. So, and another difference I would say is, a graphic designer would want to make a design and make research and analyze some of the things that he needs to design to bring his information to life. But when it comes to a product designer goes deeper than that, in the sense that he has to understand the kind of people he's designing for. He has to understand the behavioral patterns of the people he's designing the product for. Don't forget this, the keyword I said, digital products.
Yeah.
Right. So he has to understand the demographics he's designing for. If he's designing for Gen Z, is definitely going to be different from designing for millennials. I mean, digital product for a product designer. Then graphic designer just does banners, flyers, and all of those.
Okay, so, I mean, thank you very much for explaining to us all that. Now I know the differences, right? And I'm able to understand that when it comes to the UI, UX, that's the user interface, the user experience, and all of that. It gives you, the designer has a more better impact because it is the person's job now to now know the market. Before you start creating an app, you have to know who you are creating for, just like you said. So let's not even go too much on what you said. So I want to ask on collaborative tools now, because I mean, there's this idea or this conception that when you're using AI for anything, it slows down creativity and it brings out more of positivity. But how are you able to balance it so that you're able to get better work skills? How are you able to balance it?
Okay, I think the first thing I'd like to talk about is what AI actually does.
Okay.
So I would really relate AI as a friend
Okay.
in this sense. Um, Majorly, AI is meant to help you in a more friendly way of solving problems. So why I'm relating it to a friend is what AI does is um, or what a friend would do is a friend would learn from you. A friend would learn some attributes that you have. I mean, imagine let me mix friendships now. Let's say Okikiola and Shola now. I'm
Okay,
sure
good combo.
Shola probably knows I'm sure Shola probably knows when Okikiola gets home. She probably knows where our house is, right? She probably knows some of our other friends. So that's what AI does. If you are giving AI a query, I mean, you are questioning AI to answer a question for you. So AI answers from the base of the knowledge that he has gathered based on that topic, and it gives you a relatable answer, right? Unlike unlike the way the people does are just almost like dump everything in the world to you. AI gives you something friendlier, something you can relate with, something you can interact better with. So personally, as a product designer, what I use AI for, I use AI to make research, right? You can just query AI something like let's give a scenario here. Let's say I want to make let's say a savings app, right? I want to make a savings app. I'll just ask AI, how do people save their money? So it's definitely going to give me some answers. People save in the bank, people save in a piggy vest, things like that. Piggy banks and all of those little details. So I can further ask that, okay, what if I want to make a digital product that helps people to save? What are the things I need? It's going to give me a list of things as well. So I'm just telling you my design process actually. That's what I do. So it's going to give me a list. I can further say you should create a user flow for me. So what a user flow means is at every point in performing a task, what do people do? So let's say I want to save. The first thing is I have my money, right?
Okay.
Then what do I do with my money? Do I take it to the bank? Do I give it to someone to take it to the bank? Do I put it in my piggy bank? So all of those steps, AI generates them for me. I only used a savings app just to relate, I mean, on a
Yeah.
random.
Yeah,
So yeah,
sorry.
that's what I do.
All right,
Okay,
I was
Oluchi, please. Since you're already talking about AI, now it is believed that, okay, there is this popular opinion rather that AI has come to take the job of the graphics designer, the UI UX designers. And there's this thing by all these AI, ALX people that, oh no, they are just assistants, they are here to assist. But right now, a small vendor or SME can go to our Meta via WhatsApp or Instagram and say, okay, design the graphics for me using this. I even tried it one time, okay, design the graphics for our estate, use our estate name, and it designed something. Yes, I was able to say, okay, I want this color, I want that color, but it came out with an idea, right? And a small business owner can use it. So do you think with the outbreak, because obviously it's already here and it's an assistant, do you think it's coming to take the job of graphics designer or product designers, or it's just there to assist? And then how can you push it to the normal average person that, okay, AI is not here to snatch the job, but to help people?
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we
I think
can.
my
can.
network is
yeah, we can hear
all
you.
right.
Please go on.
So I think I'll disagree with the fact that AI is coming to take anybody's job. Well, it could. I mean, it could take some people's jobs, but not entirely. Not entirely. Because if we break everything down, humans create AI. So if AI takes everybody's job, who is going to create more AIs? I mean, that was just by the way. So yeah, like you rightly said, AI is an assistant. 100%. AI is an assistant. It could help in your creativity. It could help. It could make your work faster, right? But when it comes to product designing, I'll be more specific about product design now. When it comes to product design, there's something called empathy, right? You have to empathize with your users.
Okay.
I mean, which are your consumers? Which are the people that are meant to use the products you're designing, right? So AI does not have empathy. I've tried querying AI about things that are like emotionally inclined, and it tells me it doesn't have feelings. So if I'm
Quite
so if I'm
hilarious.
using a product and I don't feel good about it and I'm complaining, I mean, if I tell AI that I don't like this, I think the best AI will tell me is sorry. That's all I have to offer you. So I mean that aspect of empathy cannot be left out, and here I cannot do that part. So I would say this: AI is a powerful tool, right? It can help your creativity. It can help your creativity, right? But when it comes to empathy, which is the primary reason for creating things, for innovation. I mean, we the essence of tech is to make life better, to make things easier, right? And that is coming from the place of empathy, if you would agree with me. So in that aspect of empathizing, I mean, I don't think AI can do that. So product designing and empathy, creating product that's usable for your users to make them feel good while even using the product, right? Yeah, I cannot take that from you. Trust me.
It's quite amazing to hear how these particular human characteristics can also be found in a tech job. Empathy. I thought it's just psychologists and counselors that will talk about that. Very insightful. But we have to go on a short break now. When we return, we still want you, Mr. Dotun, to tell us a whole lot about product designs and how AI is shaping it. So stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, viewers. It's Tech Friday. Oh my God, I'm not a tech fan as much, but I have to learn on this show. All right, we have some messages on our WhatsApp, and we'll be reading that very soon. It says AI is shaping product design by generating ideas, content, and designs. It has also saved time and money, and AI aids in generating research scripts, design elements, facilities, data-driven decisions, making by analyzing user behaviors, and many others. All right, that was from Nervi. Yeah, I was going to ask from Nelly, pardon me. I was going to ask a question before we went on a short break. So many of us use a lot of awesome designs. I mean, we've come across beautiful designs that have been made, but I'm a curious person and I do not know what really goes into those designs. I just see something so amazing. And even if I want to venture into something like this, I do not know what to expect. So someone, as an expert that you are, I'd love you to, guide our users or our audience rather to understand what goes into product design, the effort that goes into, having good designs. Hello, Doctor. Are you still with us?
All right. Yes, I am.
So I'd like
Yes,
you
I
to
am.
walk us
Can you hear
through
me?
what a product designer
Yeah, we
does
can hear you.
and what the typical process looks like from the initial idea to the finished product.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I'll say is product design is really problem solving, right? So when you need the service of a product designer, that means there's a problem to be solved, right? The problem can range from new problems or trying to improve what already works, right? So it might be creating a product from scratch or improving an already existing product. So the first thing you, as a product designer, is you have to understand what the problem is. That's the first thing. You have to understand what the problem is. And by understanding the problem, what the problem is, you have to consider if it's a new problem or they're just trying to improve on what they already use. I mean, the product. So that's the first thing, understanding the problem. Then you go over to make research. The aspect of research cannot be overemphasized. And this is because, one, you're not creating the products for yourself. So there's this aspect of a product designer that you have to remove yourself totally from the equation, regardless of how good you feel about what you're trying to do or about the product you're trying to design. Regardless of how good you think it should be or it should look, you have to remove yourself from the product because you are not the primary consumer. So you have to make research on the demographics of the people that are going to be using it, research of how many people are going to be using it, research of these people that are going to use it, how do they go about their daily activities in relation to the product. Right. For an example is let's take Uber for an example.
Okay.
How much how much people order rides daily? I mean, you can agree with me that a lot of people order rides every day. So, and that's just an example of the kind of research you're making, right? So then after making various research, and I would like to say the type of research you're going to make really depends on the product, the type of products you are trying to create, right? So your research is not stereotypic in the sense that there are various research methods. You can use interviews. I mean, you can question people on, okay, I mean, open-ended questions like, how do you save? It would not be nice of you to ask questions that are yes or no, because I mean, people will just say yes and you won't get any details. But ask someone, how do you save? Let them tell you all the stories, then pick out what you need and all of those things. So open-ended questions, interviews, the interview might not necessarily be physical. Then you can send in Google Forms. You can, send out Google Forms. You can do card sorting. So card sorting in the sense that you write down steps to achieving a task, right? Let's say you want to get drugs in the pharmacy. So how do you get the drugs? I mean, the first thing is the drugs has to be prescribed, right? You have to go to the doctor prescribe the drugs, then you take the prescription to the pharmacy. So those steps, you can just write them out in cards, then just call the demographic or the users that your end users, just call them to arrange those cards in steps as to which they would perform that task. So that's going to lead you to know, okay, this is what comes first, this is what comes next, and this is what comes next, right? I think I mentioned three research ways. So yeah, those are some of the research ways that I go about. Then after researching the results that you get from this research, you analyze them. There are so many analyzing software that you can use. You analyze them, then you go further into the concept development. Concept development is from the results that you have gotten, right? How do people do these things? Okay, the first thing is they go to the doctor, he writes a prescription, then they go to the pharmacy. Okay, so you get those steps, all right, and then you develop it into a product. I mean, you develop it into a product in the sense that you start creating flow charts, the flows, right? After the flow chart, then you create the user flows as well. So user flow is let's say we are creating a digital product now, right? So the first thing is talk to a doctor. So that means your user has to be able to speak with a doctor from your product. That's the first thing, right? Then the next thing is the doctor's end. The doctor gives a prescription after understanding what the diagnosis is. That's the next step. Then you design that part as well. Then after the doctor sends a prescription and you take this prescription to the pharmacy. You might be able to access a pharmacy even on the same digital hub, I mean digital product. So those are concept developments for product design. After that, you start your design. We have wireframes, we have low fidelity wireframes, we have high fidelity wireframes. Personally, I start with paper and pencil. I mean, or paper and pen, let's say so. I mean, that's quite cheap and quite faster. Just sketch out things, draw it out, and see how it goes. I mean, it's even easier for you to trash if you see that, okay, this cannot work. You can trash that, draw out another one. Then when you're satisfied, you can take it. It's top notch. I mean, you can take it into a digital wireframe. There are so many wireframing softwares. There's Whimsical, there's FigJam. This helps you to wireframe properly. And there's even this AI, UIZard, that helps. You can just import your sketch. I mean, you can take a picture of your sketch and import it into that AI, and it automatically draws out the wireframe for you. So that's one of the AIs I'm recommending as a product designer. So that just makes your work faster. I mean, you don't necessarily have to start designing with the digital designer. You can just use the UIZard and it does that for you, right? So after creating your wireframes, both low fidelity and high fidelity, you then move on to testing with the users. So, like I said, okay, I think I haven't said it. As a product designer, if your product is not usable, then it's just vibes. Trust me. Your primary reason is for your product to be usable to your end users. If it is not usable, then you have just made yourself happy. That's regardless of how good your product looks, regardless of how good your design looks. So that is why after the design stage, the design stage, the design is not the final stage. It's just a stage to show your user that, okay, imagine the product looks this way. Perform the task that you want to perform. I mean, like the one I've been using, you're trying to get a doctor's prescription, right? So you give the user the opportunity to test the app, then you watch closely. You can ask questions that, okay, why did you click that part? Always ask why, right? Always ask why. I found out that people don't really know what they do until you tell them to explain why they did what they did. So when you ask why, so sometimes some of them might be lost. Then you get to understand that, okay, this person is just doing these things randomly. But when you ask why, it also gives them a sense of purpose of, okay, this is why I'm doing this. So ask them why. I think I should add this. At the point of concept development also, that's when you determine the colors, the fonts that you need for your product, right? So you can ask the user, okay, the colors, the fonts, you can ask them if it actually suits what they're trying to do. I mean, like, does it work for what they actually want to do? So questions like that helps your design stage. So after designing and during designing, there's always so many iterations. So many iterations because you tend to go over and over again, right? And this is because the product has to suit what the users needs. Like I said, it is not for you, it is for the user. So the product has to suit what the users need. So until it does that, that's when you can now move over to the development stage. Development stage, which is the prototype stage. After the development stage, after the prototype has been created, there's also a need for tests. You still have to test with your user so you are sure, okay, does this work? If it doesn't work, you go over again until it works. So when it works, that's when you can now launch and everybody's happy. So yeah, so that's the stage from research to concept development to iterations, testing with your users after designing, to prototypes, then to launch. So the goal is for your product to be functional and efficient, for your product to be easy to use. Your product should be easy to use as much as they don't have to come and meet you that, please, what did you do here? What does this mean? And also the product has to be visually appealing. There are lots of UX. I don't want to dive into that, but there's this particular one that I love talking about, which is the law of aesthetics, right? So what the law of aesthetics explains is the fact that users believe products work when it looks good, right? So your product has to look good. That's your first selling point. Your product has to look good. If your product does not look good, is a red flag. Let me use Gen Z's word. It's a red flag. It's that would be the first turn off from your users. So when your product looks good, that means it's appealing, is attractive to them, and they would want to use it. Yeah, it should be visually appealing, it should be engaging, and finally, it should meet their needs. That's the most important part. Wow. It should meet their need, because there are some products that are not even visually appealing, but they meet users' need. A very good example is Amazon's website. Amazon's website is not fine. It is not fine. But the amount that goes in daily on that website, my God, you don't want to know. That's
with the very long processes you've just mentioned, I'm not considering a career path here, but let's hear what Okiki has to say.
Well, I can agree with you when you were mentioning, it's like you were speaking my mind when you were mentioning some apps that are not fine, some apps that are not functioning. And I can tell you that there's a lot of food apps like currently now that downloading the app is almost as stressful as even ordering food from the app. So I'm looking at the whole user experience that you have been explaining, the whole functionality, aesthetics. So it means that there are a lot of product designers, but product designer is different from product designer, right? So how do you ensure functionality when you create a digital product? How do you ensure user experience when you create a digital product? How do you ensure that aesthetics is not about merging different colors together and then shining it in the light, just like cartoons for kids, is the colors that attract them. But so how do you ensure these things make sense, especially for users like me that are impatient when I want to do something?
Yeah, and Dotto, you have to take that question very quickly so that we move on to the next. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, like I said earlier, you need to understand the basics. So, there's something called principles of design. Principles of design is almost like the basics of design. That's when you learn how to use colors, how to align everything in your design. So understanding these basics would help you in creating whatever you are creating. So as you are building on the basics, it will be easy for you because you are just taking blocks from, okay, alignment, put it there, font, put it there, colors, puts it there, and as well you are following the laws of UX that your product has to be usable, has to be functional. So understanding these basics would really help in building the blocks for your design. I mean, for your product.
Well, mine will not be a question.
We have to like cut it short. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, though. So this has been very inspiring. But to just have something for our audience to live with, I want you in one word, in one statement, very quickly, give some message of inspiration to aspiring product designers out there. Probably convince me in 30 seconds.
Okay, all right. Aspiring product designers. I think I wouldn't want to give this out to aspiring product designers. I just want to give this out to anybody looking into moving into tech.
Yeah.
Just go for a niche that works for you. Trust me.
Go for a niche that
There are
works.
so many niches that you can choose from. Just look for one that works for you and give in your all.
Thank you
Trust
very
me.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dottie. It has been a very insightful Tech Expo program, and it's still Ways Breakfast. There is, ladies and gentlemen, join us every weekday, Mondays to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. for What Are You Saying? Next week, we'll see you. Have a great weekend. Bye.